Hey folks, I'm totally not named Dan, though you can call me that if you want, and today I'm back with my buddy Jotakumon, so we can talk about some rules updates a little bit.
Hello, everyone.
Because yeah, there've been a few recently, and I mean, not quite as recently as I'd like. This video's coming a little late, 'cause the last one took a long time to edit, but hopefully this one won't take quite as long. Hopefully you'll see this in a reasonable time frame, where it'll all still be relevant.
I mean, people probably will still have questions even when the rulings are a month old.
Oh yeah, yeah. People will. There are some things that I've been seeing here that have been questioned a lot. Like the first one I want to talk about is check value. We know what the check value is, right? The check value is the number in the lower right corner of a card. That's how it's defined in the rules here. But what they've added to the rules in this update is a check value surrounded by a burst visual effect is a reminder that the card has a responsibility that triggers when checked.
Yep, that
So
is awesome.
we've seen what a burst visual is before. We've talked about how great it is for the game, and even specifically for people like Jota here who played Jiro. But just in general, it's great for the game. It's a wonderful visual reminder of an effect that's otherwise very easily missed. But I've also seen so many new people go, why is this here? What does this do? So it's just nice to have a reminder in the rules of why that is on the card.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few people, especially when other people play Jiro, because I'm used to the deck, just completely forget to do things like when they check Specialist of Sound to look at the top card, because
Yeah.
it's something that you just miss, right? You just look at the top right corner, you don't really think about the effect of the card, just the check of it. But now that
Bottom
you have
right
the
corner,
symbol
but
actually there,
yeah.
bottom right corner, correct, yeah. Now that you have the actual symbol, that's pretty good. It's
Yeah.
pretty good they did that.
And yeah, unfortunately, it's still not on Specialist of Sound, the normal version. You would have to buy a sort of 20 to 40 pound version of the card to have that symbol on there, because that's the only
Yikes.
way it's been reprinted. But on all the future cards since, including things like the brand new Heroes Inspiration, that symbol is there and it really helps.
Do you think there is a chance that they would ever reprint something like Specialist of Sound in a way that isn't just an old art that costs $30? You
I
know,
don't know. It's possible.
would be great. I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I would really appreciate it too. But speaking about those promos, those really expensive promos, I do have a little something special to show you all. Ta-da! That's right, we actually got a provisional license exam or provisional showdown tournament here in the UK. In fact, we got several, all announced right after I told you we didn't know if we'd ever have any. So, nice that we got the promos, and really nice that A, I managed to get the foil version by going top 8 in the tournament, and B, that it also includes all the provisional showdown tournaments from previous sets. So we have all the promos now.
Yeah, unfortunately, I missed those promos, but it's pretty cool that they actually done this now for the UK, especially after, what was it now, 2 years that we've had the game, but no provisional whatsoever. That was a bit of a bummer.
I think it's only really 1 year, but yeah.
Is it? Might be, yeah.
Yeah, because most of it was set back due to pandemic.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, time is weird right now.
But yeah, you were busy that day. You were busy playing Digimon that you'd already signed up to.
Yeah, and I did well. I came in 6th.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, I actually got my participation prizes yesterday.
Yeah, but have you got your doing well prizes?
Yes, yeah, all the stuff, all the
Okay,
stuff.
cool.
But it was a very, very boring deck.
Oh, okay. Was it X-Frost Heart by any chance?
No, it was Mud
Okay,
Hacks.
good. It wasn't
See,
Jank Exodia.
see the Ultimate Cup one, where I came 8th, there I had an interesting deck, but that was BT8, 3 sets ago, yeah.
Well, next time you do well, please tell me and we can feature it.
Yeah, next I'll try to play some funny deck instead of the thing that everyone else is playing.
Hey, even if you have a slightly different take on that, because I mean, that's what Oops All Greymon was, right? It was just Ogubond, but less focused on the Ogubond and more focused on other things.
I guess if you just count spamming for memory boosts in there just to really, really find everything, then I guess it's a different take.
That reminds me of my 6 rookie version of Jessmon.
I mean, I guess you still played System on, right?
Yeah, I still played 4 Systemon, but
Yeah.
it
But
was
they're
just
not
the idea
really
that
different.
there were 6 rookies that could digivolve, of which 4 of them found more copies of the rookies, and then you had the memory boosts, and that was it. But somehow it all came together to actually mean that you saw enough rookies to play the deck normally, and it just did not matter that you were running half as many or less than most decks. You bricked the same amount as any other Jesmon.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, especially since the best card back then was really just that one rookie, the Searcher.
Only that one rookie was really worth it. None of them did anything for the deck, so...
I guess nowadays there's like enough Huckmons and enough tech rookies in red that it makes more sense to play a full set of rookies.
Yeah, it actually does things now, and also it's a completely different deck because it doesn't one-hit kill the same way that the old one did.
Yeah, that is true, yeah. It controls significantly more.
So the when attacking abilities are way more relevant than they used to be. Because, you know, when attacking, find yourself some Systemon, find yourself some Huckmon. What's that going to matter if you're already killing with the attack?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely more of a long-term strategy. I mean, you can go in very quickly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You go in very quickly, you nearly kill them, and then you just finish up the following turn.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that you have that following turn still that's different. It changes the way you look at effects in the deck.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess without Savior Huckmon, you can't do the whole check for 3, unsuspend, check again, and then check with the Systemon.
But that's why we run Chimeramon, right? To just pick up the Savior Huck from trash.
That is true. I've seen people play Chimeramon just to Jogress their Systemon, but I guess you could use it for Savior Huck as well.
Oh, yeah, you could Jogress Systemon and then pick up a Savior Huck.
Oh yeah, you can do that too. I forgot about that. That is actually a good point.
Oh, that's stupid. I love that.
And then you just minus 2k to a bunch of things, of course, right? To just get rid of any memory blockers, any floodgates.
Anyway,
I like that.
I'm not going to be following Digimon quite as much myself going forward, so if you have any decks that do really well, please mention them to me and we'll try and feature them on the channel.
Fair enough. There's a lot of stuff that I'm testing right now, so...
I just thought that was all really funny. I think we should probably leave the Digimon talk for now, though, because this is my hero video.
True.
But we will try and come back to it in the not-too-distant future. Yeah, first thing we saw was that check value burst effect. Next thing I want to mention is we've got a major change to the mulligan system.
And a big
listed
one.
here under starting the game. So previously, the way it worked was that first player got 2 full mulligans and second player got 1 partial Paris mulligan, where they could get rid of as many cards as they wanted and then redraw that many. And then on their first turn, they'd also get a bonus to their hand size, effectively. So the change here does not affect player 2. Player 2 still gets all of that, but player 1 has a slightly different setup. Now, according to Jasco, player 1 only gets 1 mulligan now. That's not true. That's not true at all. And in fact, in one of the decks that I've shown you recently and will be bringing back in the not-too-distant future with a few updates, I have finally built that Oops All Might, or whatever we want to call it.
Just Oops All Might.
No, that sounds bad. In that deck, this is actually very relevant, how it actually works. Because player 1 does still get 2 mulligans, the second one's just very conditional. The exact wording of the rule is, the first player may mulligan their entire hand. If their new hand does not contain any foundations, they may reveal it and mulligan a second time. So in a regular deck, that will almost never matter. But in a deck where you run 14 foundations, that's quite significant. And in one of the top standard decks that's been shown off at a recent event, that's never not going to trigger because the deck is just 4 attacks and the entire rest is actions.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Somebody built a deck which is based around Twisting Azure Inferno, which people are convinced is going to get banned, and then just playing 56 actions to go with it to say, right, I played this attack, enhance. All of them removed from the card pool, unless you hit another instance of the Twisting Azure Inferno, which is quite unlikely. All of them succeed. If they fail, oh well, it's not being played as a form, it doesn't end your turn, just play another action.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, that is something. But you do have to find your Twisting Azure Inferno, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's why you mulligan twice, right?
Oh, yeah, true.
Because Twisting Azure Inferno responds to every one of them for +2 damage, and all of these are giving plus damage as well. You've got Punch and Judy in there, which just fetch each other from discard pile and give you +12 more damage.
So I guess you play the character literally just to check your Twisting Azure Inferno, is that correct?
No. You also play the character to mill yourself so that you can get more Punch and Judy's in the discard pile.
Oh yeah, right. That's the deck. Okay, yeah. Oh, I remember you showing me that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's absolutely insane.
yeah.
And that gets around the changes to the mulligan rule entirely.
But you still have to check right, I guess.
Yeah, you still have to check
Unfortunately.
right, but barely.
It's
Because
funny.
every single one of those actions is a
Oh
5
yeah,
check.
that is true. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
So you run 4 cards in the deck that aren't checking 5s. It's incredibly unlikely that
Oh,
you'll check badly.
unbelievable.
And it only matters if you check badly on the attack. Everything else is whatever.
Yeah. I do feel that the mulligan rule does change something for decks that want to go first. I felt a little bit when I was playing Tokoyami that I wasn't sure if I had like 3 foundations. Should I go and try mulligan again? Because I risk just getting 1 or 2 foundations, which would be bad.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely. It definitely makes mulliganing more of a risk. It makes it more of a decision.
yeah,
I don't mind it, but it is a lot more punishing. It makes some decks significantly worse than they used to be.
yeah. I had to increase the number of foundations, not even because of the checks, just so I draw into them.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
the checks hardly matter in Tokoyami. You just get +3 or +4 every check anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is quite something. In fact, I had a case where I mulliganed and then I got 1 card, 1 foundation, and then I had to play with that.
Yeah, getting
Um,
1 foundation is the worst now, because if you get
yeah,
0, you get another mulligan. If you
yeah,
don't, you're screwed.
yeah. My luck was that I drew into 2 go for the wins just the next turn. So
Nice.
that was, yeah, and it was against Death Arms, so he had that 1 foundation suspended as well. So that
Nice.
was, everything went perfect after it went terribly. Yeah, I think this mulligan rule would definitely favor slower decks. I haven't played Jiro yet with this mulligan rule, but it'd be great because I love going second. Just making sure the opponent still has only 1 foundation and
Yeah.
steamrolling that way.
The one thing I don't like about this mulligan rule is that this mulligan rule was a great way to potentially make it more symmetrical between the 2 players without actually making it more symmetrical between the 2 players. You know, you could
Hmm.
give both players 1 mulligan and then an optional extra mulligan if they saw no foundations. And the partial Paris makes it almost impossible for player 2 to see no foundation. So I don't see why they didn't give the optional extra mulligan to player 2.
Yeah.
It would just have been a nice token thing that would have kept the rules more equal between players without
Hmm.
actually affecting gameplay almost ever.
Hmm. Yeah, I can see that.
But hey,
But now that I think,
it's a
now
minor
that I
qualm.
think, now that I think back to it, I do think 2 mulligans is quite powerful, right? I mean, with 2 mulligans, you always, with like a 7-hander, always have 4 or 5 foundations.
Oh, 2
It's just,
mulligans was powerful. 2
yeah.
mulligans was part of what made my All Might 1 deck so good.
Oh, okay.
At least when it was forced to go first.
Mm.
Realistically, it wanted to go second anyway, so 1 mulligan
Oh,
with a
yeah.
partial Paris was very powerful.
I remember that. When I make you go first and you cheer, and like, what? No. What did I do wrong?
Even when you beat me go second, I cheer.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. So if I want to go first with like Tokoyami and you're like, hell
Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, wait, what? Why is this good for you?
Yeah. Anyway, moving on, we then have a clarification of how bullets in abilities works. So some effects are a series of bullet points. These function like a list of options, except that an option is chosen or defined as part of the cost. When executing the effect, only execute the chosen option. Now, as for why this is relevant, let's take a look at a card named Dimitri. This Dimitri here, this 1 dot from Darkstalkers, has first form, gain 2 vitality, which is health, or flip one of your opponent's foundations. So the way you do this is you always flip your opponent's foundations because you get rid of any good effects they have. You never gain the health.
Hmm.
But because it says gain health, cards like Inhuman Speed, which respond to your opponent gaining health, can cancel this ability. Because part of the ability is that you can gain health.
Yeah.
So it just makes him really, really bad in matchups where that matters.
Mhm.
And the worst part is with a card named Faye from Cowboy Bebop. Faye is enhance if the top card of your discard pile has no block added to your momentum. If it has a +1 or +2 block, this attack gets +2 or -2 damage. If it has a +3 block, this attack gets +2 or -2 speed. If it has a +4
Ooh.
block or higher, add 1 asset or tech attack from your discard pile to your hand.
Oh my god. That is terrible. I mean, that's a great effect on
Yeah,
itself, but
but
the way, yeah.
the way it's worded, that's 1 enhance, which does basically everything. So
Yeah.
basically everything can cancel this enhance, unless it says that it can't touch characters specifically. Which I know pretty
Yeah.
much all of my hero cards do, but a lot of the older cards don't.
Hmm.
And that is why they've changed how things work so that they're listed as bullet points. So you choose when you make the effect.
Oh,
Because if the effect you choose to do doesn't contain the other options, then cards that would cancel don't see those other options.
okay, I see. So it's not the whole thing that counts as an effect, right? It's not like
Oh,
trigger one of these
on
effects and then
Fey
two
it
bullet
is.
points. On
But
Fey
if
it
we
is,
look at
yeah.
one of the newer things, like let's say, what's their plan? We've got enhance flip, choose one of the following effects. Both players discard one momentum. The next attack this turn loses EX. The next attack this turn loses powerful, or the next attack this turn loses stun. Only one of those
Oh,
4 effects is chosen at the time you use the ability.
because it's a cost, so at that point it just becomes that effect.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. See, I forgot that the choose one of the following effects could be part of the cost, but yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. And because of that, things that cancel things that touch your momentum won't happen if you choose any of the other 3, or things that cancel the loss of ability won't happen if you choose that momentum.
Yeah, because if it did say flip, colon, and then choose one of the following effects.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That would be completely different because then the
Yeah,
choosing would be part of the effect.
yeah.
But this isn't
Okay,
that.
interesting. And the way the ruling is worded, what was it again?
Exact wording is some effects are a series of bullets. So basically, just you can have after the colon nothing but a
Hmm.
series of bullets, is what this is saying.
Yeah.
These function like a list of options, except that an option is chosen or defined as part of the cost.
Okay, so it just wouldn't say choose one of these things, but that would be just assumed as a cost.
Perhaps, I'm not totally sure. I guess we'll just quickly search and see if there is anything from set 3 with that.
The dupli arms guy, maybe?
Oh, interesting,
Yeah,
interesting. He
exactly.
has bullet points as a list of costs. So you actually choose which cost you pay, and that defines the effect. But it's same sort of thing. And he appears to be the only bullet user in set 3, so the rules change is only to clarify how Mezzo Shoji, Dupli Arms guy, works.
I think now the interesting one is the hottest performance is guaranteed, because I just realized that most of the text in that card is a cost now. I just never realized it because, well, I thought it's just a colon to list the things, but no, there's no colon between the commit and the last thing, foundation. So,
Oh god. Oh god. Yeah. You discard the top card of your opponent's deck as part of the cost of hottest performance is guaranteed. Oh,
yeah,
that's messy. That means even if they somehow cancel the effect, they can't cancel you getting rid of their top card. That is weird. Thank you for
it is
spotting that
really,
one.
it is really odd. You're welcome.
Right, and then next one, freeze. Freeze previously wasn't defined in My Hero, but it was previously that a card frozen wouldn't ready during the next ready step.
Hmm.
Now it's to freeze a card is to create the assigned rule effect. That card does not ready during its owner's next ready step. Note the important addition of its owners.
Okay.
So
I'm
if a
guessing.
card says that it readies during the opponent's ready step, it will still ready then. But
Hmm.
conversely, if you freeze during your opponent's turn, it then doesn't ready during their next turn, whereas previously it would.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
And specifically, there is a character from the Mortal Kombat DLC called Nightwolf who has response once per turn. After you make a check, commit and freeze any number of your foundations. That check gets +2 for each foundation committed and frozen this way, right? To
Hmm.
make your foundations twice as good by doing the UniVersus equivalent of what Magic would call exerting them, double committing them, making them useless for twice as long. Sounds cool, except if you did it during your own turn, they would then ready during your next turn because freeze would have stopped them from readying during your opponent's turn when they wouldn't have readied anyway, so there was basically no cost to it.
Yeah.
That is no longer the case. Nightwolf now has to actually pay cost for his abilities because they won't ready during his next turn.
That makes sense. I mean, I can't really see what the intent was before. I'm not too familiar with it, but it doesn't seem like there's any cost here, really.
Nightwolf, I think, was always intended to work this way. As is, there is a cost to him using it, but only when he uses it on the opponent's turn.
Oh, yeah, I guess that is true.
When he uses it
All
on
right.
his own turn, there is no cost to that response.
Mm.
Or at least there was. There is now. I believe the intention was that there should be a cost at your turn, and they just forgot how freeze worked when they made him. So I
Yeah,
like that that's fixed now.
that makes sense.
It also interacts a lot with how reversals work, but given that we don't have reversals in My Hero, that isn't relevant. In fact, I don't think this ruling changes anything in My Hero at all. I think it
Let's see.
only affects standard.
Yeah, we have stare down, which is just during your turn freeze one committed rival foundation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I think Stain does something to freeze as well. Stain 2.
Yeah, but that is only when your weapon attack deals damage, which, unless
Yeah.
we have reversals, will only happen during your turn.
Yeah, exactly. So freeze just the change isn't relevant to my hero, but it is interesting. Maybe it'll matter going forward though, come set 4.
Yeah.
Then we have a change to both players' mechanics. This one's interesting. So some effects have both players do something at the same time, but they need to make a choice, i.e. choose a card to do so. The owner of the effect may choose who makes the decision first. Aside from any such decisions, the effect still occurs simultaneously. So the first example we have here is you play the form on Flex Your Might, which makes both players reveal a card at the same time. You can ask the opponent to choose their card and whether to reveal at all first, but the cards are only revealed once both players have chosen. This is a change to how it used to work. It used to be that you would choose who executed the effect first. So previously, you'd be able to ask your opponent to reveal for Flex Your Might. They'd choose whether to reveal a card and what card to reveal, and you'd then see the card, and then you'd go, oh, I can beat that with this one. And you wouldn't necessarily have to show your biggest card. Or if they showed nothing, you could just show a 2 damage attack or something and win.
Mm-hmm.
But now you actually have to play the guessing game that you were supposed to play when the card was printed, rather than it working the way that the rules previously worked. However, this does cause an interesting problem with another card named Cinder Convection. Cinder Convection says, enhance, discard 1 momentum, this attack has +1 to all of its keyword ratings. Yeah, sure, fine. But it also says, enhance, if this attack is not blocked, both players lose 2 health.
Oh.
Previously, you got to choose who died first. Now, if both of you are at 2 health or below, after the attack isn't blocked, before damage is dealt, because the block step is before the damage step, both of you die. So in changing this ruling, Jasco have made it possible for you to have a draw now. And I mean one where you don't go to time.
Is it the first time in MHA? Or, I mean, otherwise you wouldn't say it that way, but just to clarify.
Definitely the first time in MHA. I believe it's the first time since Jasco started running events that it has been possible to force a draw like this.
Okay, that's quite something. I would have assumed that Jasco's been there for a long time, so I would have assumed that there has been some cards that do that kind of stuff, that force out a draw without going on time, but...
Well, I mean, we have other things like Petty Squabble, right? That force both players to draw and discard, or discard and draw in this case. So you could potentially cycle both players at once. Except you can't, because that, again, it's both players. So you choose the order the effects happen. Or at least you did. Now you don't. Now it happens simultaneously. There can be a draw with Petty Squabble. And I use Petty Squabble because it's a current relevant example that's mentioned in this rules change. Petty Squabble isn't the only card that does this. A lot of cards have forced both players to draw throughout Jasco's ownership of the game. It's just now we actually have the ability to force a draw through it.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, the other thing interesting about that is at major events, the top cuts are completely uncapped time-wise. So the theory was that there could never be a draw in top cuts.
Now they can.
Yeah, now they can. So now top cuts can go sort of 5 games deep if they really want.
Damn.
Top cuts could theoretically go on forever.
Yeah, welcome to tennis.
Yeah, absolutely. Realistically, this isn't going to happen very often. It's not going to be a problem. But the one time it is a problem, it's going to cause such an uproar.
Yeah. I guess the only time that would happen is if someone only had like Cinder Convection in hand and they realize it's better I force out the draw here and we go to the next game, otherwise I'll die.
Yeah, absolutely. But imagine if just the way they built their deck coincidentally means that happens 3 games in a row.
When that happens, if there is an actual draw like that, who decides who goes first next turn?
I don't know if that's in the rules. Let me just check the start in the game rules again. Yeah, randomly decide who chooses the player to go first. First player commits their character. Yep. Okay. So there's nothing mentioned in this starting the game rule about who goes first in game 2. So is that even in the game rules, or do I need the floor rules for that?
It'd be pretty funny if you could like force a draw and then decide who goes first.
I mean, you probably can, but I'm not fully sure. No, come on. Where's the bit that just tells us how to play?
Match structure, sure, right?
No, apparently match structure doesn't tell us. Oh, wait, here we go, this section, yeah. Page 14, I think, is where we find out. So a match is defined as a set of games required to win a round of a tournament, A tournament organizer may alter the number of games to win a round, provided they've made this clear in event details. Level 2, 3, and 4 tournaments, tournament organizers should use best of 3 match format. This should be used for Swiss rounds and top cut single elimination playoff. So, best of 3 format. Player who went second has the final turn, or it doesn't state here who decides who starts. Okay. Where do they state who decides who starts? It's got to be in the rules somewhere. Oh, determining who goes first. Here we go.
There you go.
Players must determine who goes first through a random means. The player who wins the agreed upon method of choosing who goes first has the option to decide who goes first or second. The player who loses a game in a match has the right to choose who will begin the next game in the match. In top cut rounds, the higher seeded player, so the player who did better before we got to top cuts, has the option to start game 1 playing first or second. Okay, so that last part is interesting, but the important part here is the way this is worded. Players determine who goes first through random means unless something else takes precedent. So since nobody won in that draw, you then have to randomly determine who goes first, or rather, you have to randomly determine who gets the choice.
Okay, I see, yeah, because it's worded as the player that loses has the right to do it. Since there's no player that loses, nobody has the right to choose, and therefore it's just players must determine who goes first through random means. Okay, yeah. That also makes sense, right? Like, you draw, you go random.
Yeah, but that took reading 16 pages of the tournament floor rules.
Just to find out who goes first.
That was not something I was expecting to have to do for this video. So we've looked at both players, we've looked at bulletin abilities, we've looked at check value. Combo has apparently changed. What have they done to combo? If a combo keyword has multiple requirements, those requirements will be separated by a comma. Yeah, we know that. Okay, thanks, document. Why is that in red to state that something new is there?
Infinity.
Yeah, I think Infinity is the only thing we haven't looked at
yet. Starting the game. Let's look at starting. What is this?
We looked at that already. That's the mulligan change.
Oh, that's the mulligan change. See, I was hoping maybe that had to do with the who goes first thing.
No, it doesn't say anything about who's on first.
All right, Infinity. I think that's the funniest one.
Oh yeah, Infinity, previously, it looked a little something like this. Obviously, they didn't want to put 12 resource symbols on a card. Jasco have this funny thing now of they only want to put 3 on because 3 looks aesthetically pleasing. And it means that all symbols end up evenly balanced because you can divide that by 4 nicely.
I do like this layout, though. Everything on the left, you know?
Yeah, I do actually like how it looks, the all 12 symbols that I put together for this. But that's what Infinity previously meant. Infinity was a stand-in for every symbol, and multiple instances of Infinity were specifically written in the rules as just there for aesthetic reasons, because you couldn't have 2 copies of the same symbol on a card. Now they've changed that. Instead of this, cards with Infinity have no symbol, like so. Such cards can be played in any deck. So, the way it says played in any deck, yes, a card with no symbols can always be played. As per the rules, a card with no symbols does not count towards the symbols in your card pool. Not that that matters for My Hero, but for Standard, it has always been the case that if you have a card with no symbols, it doesn't break your symbol chaining requirements. Everything is fine.
Was that a thing?
Yeah, that was always a thing. They never printed a card with no symbols, but things like, say, your multiple copies technically had no symbols. Other face-down copied cards had no printed symbol.
Okay.
So anytime you played a card as a face-down, anytime a card got flipped face-down, it didn't matter, because no symbols wasn't a problem. It was only if it had no symbols that matched and 1 or more symbols, it was an issue.
Okay,
and
I see.
They're not making it entirely clear what that means for My Hero, but if we read between the lines what they're saying here, they're saying basically you can put those cards in any deck as though they match symbols because they don't have non-matching symbols.
Mm-hmm.
So you can still run Infinity in anything, it's just you officially have no symbols now, which means if you make an all-Infinity deck, which is insane, don't do it, then technically your deck is under no symbols, and you cannot register it through the official My Hero Play app or the registration on their website.
You mean like if your character also had an Infinity symbol?
I mean, even if your character has symbols that aren't Infinity, no cards in your deck share any symbols. You're not technically on any of the character's symbols if all your cards are Infinity.
Can't you just pick one? Like if one card had 1 symbol.
Oh yeah, then you would be forced to be on that symbol. But then if you remove that card, you haven't chosen a symbol.
Okay,
you're on any one of your character's 3 symbols.
Okay, now let's say I play Endeavor, but I play an Endeavor card, so I could still choose any of the 3 symbols.
Yeah, it's technically still undefined which symbol you're using.
Wait, really? So hold on a minute. That means that if I play only cards which match all symbols, that still makes the thing undefined.
So I think at that point you still have to choose which of the symbols you want to use. But the thing with
Mhm.
Infinity is if you don't have any symbols in your deck because you're using all Infinity cards, then
Mhm.
any symbol you choose is not a symbol on a card in your deck.
Oh, okay.
And you can register on the Play app or the website as an Infinity deck. But because no character has Infinity, you then can't choose a character, so the registration can't go through, which is
Interesting.
extra interesting because it implies that at some point in the near future there is going to be a character with the Infinity symbol.
Yeah. We
How does
wonder who
that
that
work?
is.
Because that character has no symbols, so they can't be playing any cards with symbols.
Maybe he has an effect that specifies he gains symbols. Just first form gain a certain symbol.
That'll be too late because you've already built your deck by then.
Oh right, yeah. It's not like UFS. You can't build your deck with a bunch of different symbols
No,
and then.
this isn't
Oh,
UniVersus. This is My Hero.
interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, there's some
Ma-
weird stuff going on there, and I'm really curious to know how it works.
If we had a character with an infinity symbol, or like I guess with no symbols,
Same thing now.
yeah, that means I now couldn't play something like a fire enhance, right? Just to
Correct.
clarify. Okay.
Previously, you would have been able to play a Fire Enhance because you would have had all symbols. But the way
Okay.
it's worded now, you couldn't.
That's probably going to be in terms of like effects the biggest change if there was an infinity symbol
Yeah.
character, right? Because if there was, then you could play all these enhances, which I
Yeah.
guess supports even further the
Which
idea that we're getting an infinity character.
which I think would actually been really cool to have a character who could have played all these symbol specific enhances because they made so many symbol specific enhances for set 2. When I did a draft for set 2, I rocked up with a bunch of copies of Universal Fighter, who is an old character who was a 630, I believe, who had nothing other than the infinity symbol. No abilities, no special anything, just a six-hander with the infinity symbol.
Oh,
Specifically made to be if you didn't draft a character, you could play him or them. But nowadays, you get given any of the characters from the set anyway, so that doesn't matter. But just, I feel it would have been really interesting to have picked him and just been able to use all of those symbol only enhances. That would have been an actual power for him. You know, it made him an interesting character choice, even though he did nothing himself.
hmm.
Nobody actually picked him in that draft. I didn't see how he worked, but it was an option. Now, because Infinity has changed, it's not an option. You don't have that interesting inherent bonus to the Infinity symbol. So, if they have other abilities to make up for it, great, but Infinity itself is no longer interesting.
I guess they could just print on a infinity character an effect which states that you can build with every symbol, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Would be weird because that's format specific text.
Yeah, but like we've seen card games where it says something like you may play 50 copies of this card in the deck. So
Oh,
I
yeah,
thought,
but that's not
yeah.
specific to one format. That's not like writing, you may play this Planeswalker as your commander in Magic, which I really hate being printed on cards because then you've got
Hmm.
references to Commander in your non commander games, which don't make sense.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, I'm
I
intrigued.
mean, there are ways they could do it. They could just say, you may ignore symbol restrictions or something like that.
Yeah,
But it is going to be interesting to see how they solve the problem of what Infinity is now when they inevitably put it on a character, because the way they've changed the site and the app means there is a space for a character, there will be a character.
that could be next set already. I mean, given that they updated Infinity now,
Not they could be next set, it will be next set.
it will be next set. Okay, yeah, because it also.
Next set comes with another rival box,
Oh,
and
okay.
that box is All Might versus All for One.
We haven't even mentioned it, but I think everyone knew that would be the Infinity character, right?
Oh, yeah. There is a very good chance that he will anyway. If he's not, he's got to do something very special to make up for not being. Oh, you know what I want to see? I want to see
Polka dot?
9 printed missing 3 symbols. Just give 9 symbols.
Or just give him the 3 symbols he's missing.
Yeah, just give him the 3 symbols and then write on his character you could play any symbols but the ones on this character.
But you have to build around these symbols, don't you?
You have to have the text change that.
I kind of think that idea. Or more interesting, you can have them in your deck. You just can't play them, right? That's the thing. You can now have them in your deck. You can put them in your card pool or do things with it, have it in, put it in the discard pile, and then build it from discard pile, whatever. But
You just can't play it, yeah.
you just can't play it.
That's bringing standard rules back into My Hero. That's going to confuse everyone if you do that.
But it does so by adhering to My Hero rules, right? Pretty much.
Sort of. You're still having to apply the standard rules to explain things missing that aren't covered by the My Hero rules.
Oh yeah, I guess yeah. So that will be for next set, the one after this, right? Let's go slow with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And for this set, the change to Infinity doesn't do a lot. It just means infinity cards aren't seen as insert symbol here cards when a card looks for that, which
Oh
is
yeah,
almost never relevant.
there might be cards in the future where we can search for certain cards with a symbol on it.
Yeah.
Right, I forgot about that. That's the basic thing in card games. I forgot we could do that maybe.
Or just your fire attack gets insert
Oh
thing
yeah.
here, for example.
Oh yeah, that too.
It's
Okay, so
interesting. It's a
it
very
changes.
interesting change.
Yeah, it changes more than I thought it would.
Yeah. But all of it is sort of small situational things so far.
Hmm.
I'm waiting to see the big one.
I think it's a good thing because then it doesn't limit game design where you can do things with symbols more often without worrying too much that infinity cards kind of screw up the game, you know?
Possibly. But I mean, infinity cards are still accessible by everyone. They still kind of screw up the game in that when everyone could play Crow and Frog, everyone did.
True, true. But now imagine also that your character has something like enhance once per turn, your next check to play a fire attack gets +2. Now you can just play another Crone Frog for
Yeah.
a 3 check. You know, it's like
Just play
whoa.
every Crow and Frog on 5, and then as soon
Yeah.
as you're done playing Crow and Frogs, you only need a 3 to pass your next attack.
Yeah, but now that makes it a little bit trickier. You can't use it on the Crone Frog. It's still a 5 check every time, so it's a little bit more.
Well, yes and no. It means you can use the ability on the first Crow and Frog, and then just wait until later to get your plus check.
Oh, yeah, I guess, yeah, yeah. Oh, you could also accumulate them, I guess, which would be funny.
If it wasn't a once per turn, yeah.
If it was a once per turn, which I said for some reason. Why did I restrict myself that way?
I have no idea.
I guess because it would be quite powerful otherwise, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it's a foundation and we have 4 of them, let's put it that way.
Sure.
But the thing is, if it already was progressive, I don't know why you would need a +8 on that. But
No, me neither. Not unless you get a printed 10 diff or something, which
ooh,
does
okay.
exist, but I don't think it's existed since the Warhammer cards.
And imagine you playing on 4th kind, so your 4th attack also gets -4.
Oh, God. Wait, 4th kind with Crow and Frog seems busted.
It is. We tried it on stream. I was so lucky I drew into 3 Crone Frogs on my second turn or something like that.
Oh, God. No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was ridiculous, yeah.
Oh, that's
I don't know
stupid.
what I was playing it with. I think it was that, and then I was playing the promo, the Ida attack, which you can discard kick cards from your card pool as a cost for the X ability.
Oh.
Because then you remove more stuff as well.
Oh.
And then you... It's really funny.
I hate that.
Awesome. I have a 4th kind, but I think I'm missing way too many of the cards that I need. So many promos in there.
Yeah. Well, it can't be worse to build than the Might True Form deck was, because you had to collect so many promo and DLC and everything All Mights for that, and then some secret rares, and the Crow and Frogs, and you name it, it took it.
Yeah, but it was worth it. It was a good deck. It was really...
Oh, yeah. I've lost one game with it so far.
One game, damn.
And I've taken it to 2 separate events. Right, I think that's all for now.
Yeah.
Catch you next time when we maybe look at one of these decks, or maybe do something else. And yes, I do have a webcam working now. I won't be using it for all of my videos, but you'll see me in person from time to time at least. Frankly, though, I am having fun with the PNG. Bye.
Bye, everyone.